Hello and welcome to this video. I hope that you are doing amazing, and I'm so happy that you are joining me here in my dirty little office. It's dusty for sure. I need to dust because there's all kinds of weird stuff in here that's just collecting dust for no reason. I've got a British coin. No. What is this? 2 euros? Someone explain this to me. I got this thing. What do y'all call this? A tuppence? A halfpenny? I got it, whatever it is. The first Bitcoin IRL. It's quite interesting. I have been seeing a lot of chatter on the internet. One of the things that the internet loves is to tell... Oh, hold on, a train. Okay, I have allowed the train to pass with patience and grace, and I've taken the opportunity to fix my hair because what the heck's going on with that? What was I saying? I don't know what I was saying. Yes, I was saying that the internet seems to be very good at telling us that we are doomed, in that we are getting dumber and we're losing something. We always seem to be losing something. And I have a thought. I've been thinking too much, and I think my idea is becoming a little bit overcooked. So I'm going to take it out of the oven before it is completely burnt, but it is a little crispy. In essence, I want to talk about knowledge and intelligence in like a bird's eye view of humanity. Why I think we're not getting dumber. I don't think we're getting dumber. And warning, this video is gonna have no data. This is pure cognition. But I'm going to explain myself in the best way that I can why I think we're not getting dumber, and that we are very smart, and we've always been smart, we've always been stupid. And knowledge comes out and manifests in people and in peoples, plural, groups of people, in very mysterious ways, in ways that aren't as straightforward as you think, via book learning and institutions and such. So I want to talk a little bit about that. I've got a coffee here. Can you hear it? It's oat milk. I got a coffee here, and I have a candle. Oh, don't let me get started without showing you this hot candle, burning hot. I don't even know if I can lift it. It's pumpkin. It's a pumpkin candle. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. So I have this candle. Oops. I have this candle. Oh, and the train's coming. Hold on. Okay. The train is gone. And we are safe. And I want to talk about intelligence. So, the way that I've been thinking about this, I really... how am I gonna explain this? Okay. I really love... I'm gonna try and connect 2 points. I'm gonna try and connect cathedrals and Jane Goodall, actually. And I really love cathedrals. Who doesn't love a Gothic cathedral? I learned something about these things too overstimulated to finish my fiction book, which is about Nazi Germany. It's actually too sad. So I couldn't finish my book. So I picked up a different book. I picked up a book off my shelf to read that I thought would be good, as to not send me into a depression. That book is Structures, or Why Things Don't Fall Down. And it's about engineering. It's about structures. Okay? This is by J.E. Gordon. And I was pleasantly happy, not surprised, that he mentioned cathedrals in this book. I never thought too much about engineering, ever. This is just, I picked it up and started reading. And I didn't know that those big old hunking cathedrals were made by medieval masons who had an understanding of their craft as passed down, as a craft from person to person. They had an understanding of geometry, which had been around for a while, and they had an understanding, a rough understanding of structure from, I think, an aesthetic point of view, and some pretty basic understanding as part of their craft of making things so that they sometimes don't fall down, but a lot of the times things fall down. What they didn't have is what we understand now as structural engineering. And they did not have any of the math that would have gone into, that does go into building things now. They didn't have any of that. They had their traditions and understanding of geometry and intuition, I think, in religion, whatever they were up to. So that fascinates me. And this story of engineering has been fascinating to me because there are discoveries that are very simple. He talks about this in this book. Like, if you think about a piece of wood that needs to support a 20-pound weight, and you think, oh, that's good. But if the wood has a little fracture in it, in the wood, it might collapse under 20 pounds of weight, and you're left thinking, what's going on? Doesn't it seem quite simple and intuitive that something that has a crack in it or a fracture would not be as strong and you can't put as much weight on it? Essentially, what he's saying in this book is that there's a whole field of like fracture mechanics. There's a whole way of mathematically understanding the way that that fracture is redirecting energy, or the load, not energy, the load of the wood, the way that the wood takes the load of the 20 pounds. And all that stress that the wood would normally be able to take gets bunched up around that fracture. And so instead of 20 pounds of, pressure on top of the wood, it kind of becomes exponential because all that stress is now on that point acutely, and so the thing will probably fall down. You can imagine, and he talks about the men who would do experiments and try and work this out, Isaac Newton being one of them, who they all contribute to this field of the way that we think about contemporary engineering. But the housewife, the woman, the peasant, somebody would have known that principle through very different means. You could, if you cut, slice a bit of a piece of fabric first, you can then tear the whole thing much easier, because that one little cut, it weakens the strength and the integrity of the whole thing. So we know that today, like if you look at perforation on a postage stamp or a piece of paper, if it's perforated and it has little tears in it already, the whole thing just quite easily. So there are ways that these principles are lived and discovered outside of a theoretical understanding. What I'm trying to say is that you have a Gothic cathedral that contains principles and mathematics of engineering completely unknown to the builders who built it. They're going by what they were up to, right? Down the line, you could get people who do experiments, they write things up, they contribute in these fields, and different, subfields of engineering pop up, and what you have now is a field of engineering, and you can get a big old steel skyscraper, and all of this is in the service of making sure that that building does not fall down and collapse and hurt people. So I've been thinking about that concept a lot, and something clicked when I heard about Jane Goodall passing away. What, of course, is remarkable about her is that she had a kind of vision and an ability to notice things. So she had no formal education when she went to go do her field work and be around chimpanzees. She was sent to Cambridge later, I think something after like 5 years of doing field work. Anyway, and being out there at Cambridge, that is where, when she enters the arena of academics, formal academics, and theoretical academics, she encounters a denial of what she has directly observed and the conclusions that she is coming to from her observation. She has sight. And of course, she completely revolutionized the way that we see chimpanzees and their behavior, and thus even an understanding of ourselves and the world. So she deserves her recognition. But in thinking about Jane Goodall and in thinking about the way in which we have built insane, gorgeous structures without a theoretical understanding, contemporary theoretical understanding, we've managed to do that anyway. And that reality, that mathematical reality that manifests in a peasant who is ripping and tearing a piece of fabric, that comes up in a theoretical, institutionalized style of thinking that advances engineering to a new point. All of that feels connected to me, and it tells me that the way that knowledge comes into the world is a mix of practical, embodied, real-world sensorial experience that's outside of the theoretical, and then with the theoretical, and within an institution and an academic field, something quite organized, and that in this spectrum of both of these things occurring, both of these types of ways of being in the world, knowledge arises culturally from people who within either or one foot in both something, when they have an ability to see with new eyes, and they just see. I think, well, I've talked about this in a video once, where noticing something is the genesis of understanding. Focus, like really honing in and focusing on an academic subject, it can only get you so far if you don't notice. And Jane Goodall was just a person who noticed a lot. That led her focus. She came in open and she saw behaviors. And she came to new conclusions and new understandings. In the case of engineering, you have a situation in which men built theoretical understanding, but also squabbled over, just like in Jane Goodall's case, how these conclusions are made. And you have practical men who, thumbs down theoretical mathematics and still build amazing bridges that stand even till today. You have Gothic architecture standing till today. Yes, some of them fell down for sure. But you also have theoretical, like high math. Okay, we're making structures. Okay, another train came by. I'm trying to say that you have structures like a boat, ships, made with newer theoretical understandings that just simply snap in half in the ocean. They snap in half. And this book talks a little bit about how it's not necessarily very clear-cut, the way that theoretical understanding leads to success in building a structure. And the history of science is really fascinating because it shows the ways in which that your kind of average person in view of the world, and he calls them practical men who are just practical, living in the world, got a lot done. And there is an interplay between the practical and the theoretical in building new things and in moving us forward in the world through time in a way where things manifest differently. And we have academics, formal academics, and we're taught things, and that can be related to life or not related to life. It really depends on how it's applied, and it takes people with vision who are able to notice things and just see the world completely differently and share the way that they see the world with others. So all of this is to say, what I'm trying to cook up in my head is that I see a lot of very, what's the word? It's like a diagnosis of humanity, Gen Z, insert whoever, Gen Alpha, where we are diagnosing them with like brain rot, or we're saying that we're all getting dumber, or that we are relying too much on ChatGPT or the internet in general. We are losing book learning, analytical thinking, book learning, etc. I think that you can export your thinking completely. You can export your ability to notice and be present in the world without the internet. Many people have done it over time, they appeal completely to religion. They sign on to, remain, in line with frameworks of thinking that stop them from noticing things. If you want to, you can work purely theoretically and not think and use ChatGPT in that way, or use the internet in that way, or you can appeal to these theoretical constructs and take them into the real world so that you can notice things and you can see the world with new eyes. And you can do this your whole life if you want, and that's very smart and that's very creative. In my understanding, when I read things like this, like the history of science, or when I look at how people like Jane Goodall, how they approach things in the world, how they change the world, truly change the world, I see more of a Wild West kind of scenario, in which there's always a kind of knowledge manifesting through somebody's vision as they live and notice things in the real world, and as they wrestle with things theoretically, and this kind of pendulum back and forth. Anyway, there's a loud truck outside that I'm editing my way around in this video, but essentially I think that we've always been very smart and very stupid, and both manifest kind of next to each other and complexly, and you can see those in the history of the sciences when you read about the squabbling that has happened in the face of direct, plain observation of phenomena. In conclusion, in my overcooked scheme of things, is I believe that we've always been very smart, we've always been kind of stupid, and cultural knowledge and understanding, or lack thereof, fluctuates and depends on the strange interplay between the peasant ripping a piece of fabric, the stonemasons building the most incredible buildings of all time, and theoretical understanding being achieved. And within those interactions, there are just people who see the world differently, and they change the world because they see it differently. And that is the soup, that is the matrix, and we still do that. We still do that. And I think new technology, books and movies and podcasts and social media, I think all of that adds to the story. But I'm not worried for our intelligence. I'm just not. I worry about a lot of other things. I worry about our environment. But our cognition, I don't see a decline. I can't imagine a decline. We've always just done this weird dance cognitively. But I do think that knowledge and intelligence comes from noticing and being able to see something, in a completely different way, in a unique way, having traversed the world of the practical and the world of the theoretical, and just being and seeing things and noticing. And then after you've noticed, focusing on it. You can cultivate it if you want. And that's what it is. And I think we do that. And we're good at that. And it's amazing. So, I have no idea if this made any sense at all. I have no clue how this video is going to turn out. No idea at all. We're gonna find out, I guess. That is part of how knowledge manifests fair. But kids used to work in coal mines and factories, and now, for the most part, most of them go to school. Are they learning things in school? I don't know. What were they learning in the coal mines? Or the factories, right? I don't know. So, we change our structures around us all the time, our social structures. And the ones that I think we have now, to me, are highly workable. They're workable and can be edited and changed. And I feel there's a lot of hope in that. And so I don't feel like we're doomed. I don't feel like we're stuck. I feel like we have a lot of tools and we are very smart. And I don't think, generations of idiots are being raised. I think we've always been also a little stupid. And we're gonna be a little stupid. But I also think we're really smart. And within the potion, there's change. And that's why things happening is change. And existential darkness is a fundamental part of being a human being. I think climate is the big, to me that's the one that's quite different, isn't it? But other things, I don't feel that sense of the human race has never, fill in the blank. I think we are living out our nature. And we're very smart, we're very stupid. That's why I think, and that's what my Overcooked adventure has led me to recently. So, anyway, is this video gonna make any sense? I don't know. Am I proving or disproving my point? No clue. Doesn't matter. I'm saying stuff and I'm gonna put it on the internet because that's what we do. But I think I hope people aren't feeling too depressed about our species. I know it's easy to all the time because we're ridiculous, but also we are very smart. And all it takes is noticing. I think that's all it takes is noticing and seeing the world differently and sharing the way that you see the world. I think that's what knowledge is, and that's what being smart is, and that's how we move forward and how things change. So, as of right now, this recording, I see all the opportunity in the world to do that, to notice and to change things and to change. So, I do feel very hopeful and optimistic, about some things. But I think about us and our cognition. I feel a sense of hope. Yeah. Anyway, that's my Overcooked idea on this. We'll see. But I hope that no matter where you are, day or night, that you are able to notice things and that you have some room